Hello everyone. Welcome to the new video of LUMUN Society. And the topic that we'll be discussing today is unmoderated caucuses and large committees. Before we move into the topic itself, it is important for us to mention that Insha has already made a video on it, and I will suggest before you go through this video, maybe watch that video, and this will probably build upon that. So let's dive into it. The first thing that we wanted to discuss is myself. Who am I and why am I here? My name is Amar and I'm currently serving as the Director of Marketing for LUMUN. I started my MUN journey during my A levels, and throughout university as well. I've been doing MUNs in different format, in different, let's say, in different competitions as well. And throughout the time that I have gathered, I have majorly done Unmods, even in my A levels and even in my university time. And this is the experience that I have gained, and this is the experience that I have built upon, so I could share with you, all of you. So we will dive into 4 different topics. First of them, the most important one of them is why are Unmods important to begin with? Why do we need to discuss about them, and what weightage do they hold? The second one being how to unmod, as in general technique, and then there are some specific techniques that I have for you, and then there are off the top book tips. These are some things that have helped me immensely while, let's say, keeping me calm, or things such as these, and I hope they do so as well for you. Why are unmods important in the large committees? The first thing that we need to understand right now is that unmods are important because they form your perception, and MNs at the end of the day are an art of perception itself. What to let the people perceive is something that you will be awarded on, or that's something you will be judged based on. And this is why Unmods help so much, especially in the larger committees. We don't get a lot of speeches. And this is why, because let's say if there are 100 delegates and there are 2 days, then there's likely chance that you will get, let's say, 1 speech or 2 speech, or even maybe in some cases not even that. Then how do you make your impact? You make your impact through Unmods. And secondly, even if, let's say, you do get speeches, people are very, very tired of listening to speeches. And when I say people are tired of listening to speeches, I mean that people have listened to almost 100 people or 150 people in large committees, and when they come to you, you're also just one of their speeches. Unless you somehow drastically change the flow of the committee, drastically bring something that is entirely new, maybe people would. But even then, there is still some doubt as to how much impact would it eventually have. And that's something why we need unmods, why we need good unmodders to do in large committees, because then the perception of it, or the impact that unmod have, or unmodders generally have, is much greater than, let's say, moderated speeches, which are already less in quantity, will have. To not This might seem like a cheesy line, but to unmod generally, I would say the thing that have helped me is PLC. The first thing that you need to keep in mind that unmods are you keeping your point forward, and that does not mean that you are not listening to others. Obviously, that's the second point, but it means that you have done enough research. Or when I say you've done enough research, I mean you've at least gone through different things, and now you've gathered your own opinion, or your country's opinion in that case, and are able to put forward that. And that is very important, because if you don't do that, then you're technically irrelevant in the unmod. The second point is listen. It is important for us to understand that you cannot be the only person who's speaking in the unmod, because of two major reasons. A, you seem very undiplomatic in your conduct, and secondly, people just start hating you if you're the person who's continuously speaking. There's going to be a sense of insecurity. Because a lot of people who have already in the in the MUN have also come for the experience, and you can't take away that experience by continuously speaking. That's why you need to make sure that you give them the time. And when I say you give them the time, I don't only mean that you have to give them the time in terms of, ability to speak, but also understand them. As in whatever they're speaking, where they're coming from, and if there's any relevant questions, engage with them as well. And that's what listens generally in this technique, in this idea means, and not just listen for the sake of listening itself. The third thing is calm. I think this is the hardest thing. to be really honest, because I think keeping calm when hundreds of people, or let's if not 100, let's say 50 to 60 people are speaking right at you, it's difficult to keep calm. Keep calm. You will lose that, and that is why it's important for you to have different sort of, let's say, techniques that I would say you will develop throughout your time, and everyone find their own soft spot, or everyone finds their own technique in some way or the other. But something that helps me greatly, first of all, is a fake smile. So when I say fake smile, even if you are mad at someone, even if you are, I don't know, even if you are just feeling so frustrated, if you just force your body to smile, it manipulates into body you think to thinking that you are calm. And when it does so, it makes sure that it does not put you in a state of panic, or does not, let's say, hinder your performance. So even if it sounds very bad in the idea itself, it is important that you, even if you smile for a little, it will really help your body calm down. And you can try that even in other situations outside ambience as well. When you're feeling a little panic, try to fake smile and it will help you out. Secondly, a kindest person rule. This is not only true for ambience, but even when you're doing presentations. Sometimes when you're, or generally any public speaking, if you feel nauseous, if you feel that you're losing your calm, if you feel there's no certainty to your ground, look at the kindest person in the room. Specifically in the unmods, right? So there is always someone who is, let's say, if you come to LUMUN, you will always find a 14-year-old or 15-year-old being able and being present in the unmods as well. And when you look at that person, the only thing that you can remember is how sweet their childhood is. Or when you look at that person, you just feel much more secure, I would say. And that's the important thing, because when you feel secure, you don't, there's very likely chance that you won't, um let's say be panicked, or be in a state of, I don't know, hurry or something of that sort. And you will feel much calmer, because you will think it in this way, that you are having some ground, or something of your, some ground of your you is being covered. The third one is carry a pen. um, and why is that? Because whenever you're keeping, especially a ball pen, so whatever humans as like to do most of the time, we like to play with the pen, and you might have noticed that during the classroom as well. Or even when you're nervous, right? Or even when people are talking to you in unmods, if you play with that very pen, what will happen is that your body will start thinking that this is something casual, right? There isn't something new to it. And your body will once again start manipulating itself, because at the end of the day, your body is entirely connected with your mind, and how you make your mind feel will eventually be how your body makes you feel. But more importantly, if you carry a pen, there are less likely chance, and this is something I would say, it just it just makes much more sense. So, for example, you're less likely to throw a pen at someone than slap someone. Uh, I don't know. It just, in my opinion, it just makes much more sense, because if you have something in hand, then you will most likely not throw it away, because there's some sense of responsibility attached to it. Then, however, we don't attach that some sense of same sense of responsibility with while we are alone or we don't have anything on our hand. And I think that's important for us to understand as well in general. And so yeah, I would say these are general specific techniques. And now we will before we dive into specific Unmods techniques, it's important for us to understand that these techniques, once again, are not implementable at everyone, also not in every committee. However, these are general specific techniques that I think would generally help, especially for people who are starting in Unmods, especially for people who have not done larger committees. Because when I started doing larger committees, and something that I hadn't done before, I realized that Unmods is the place where a lot of people lose their calm. Is the place where people generally tend to be very, very frustrated. And these are some of the ways that I found helped me, and I'm sure they will help you as well. Type of unmoders, or for specific techniques, I would like to go into them. The first one is the lone wolf. So why is the onward so important? So for example, a lot of people are not comfortable speaking to the crowd. While that's not a technique that you should be using ideally in, let's say, larger committees, but it's important for us to understand that sometimes it's okay if you don't speak to a larger group. What you can do is you can talk to everyone. So for example, there's a good chance that if there are 100 delegates in your committee, at least 90 or 95% of them would not know each other, right? And that completely different people from completely different backgrounds. So what you need to do is you need to talk to them everyone separately. For example, if you can talk to, let's say, Saudi Arabia first, and then America, USA, and then United Kingdom, then France, and Pakistan, then India. If you talk to those 5 to 10 people individually, what will happen is that these people will form an association with you. And especially when you're looking at this technique, I would suggest always look at people who are not, I would say, the most leading delegates, and look at people who are, let's say, being ignored by most of the committees. And there will always be people. There will always be people who are being ignored by the committees simply because the structure of the Unmod itself, right? Or amendments itself, because it cannot, at the end of the day, include everyone in a group discussion. And that is why generally or naturally there are some leaders that are formed. So what you will do in this technique is you will speak to 10 delegates or 15 delegates separately, and then you form your own block. So rather than going to a group of people and talking to them, let's say you will talk to Pakistan and then India, and then we'll call Pakistan India, yeah, idhar aa jaye and let's go somewhere here, and वहां चलते हैं. And अगर आप वहां जाएंगे तो उसके बाद पाकिस्तान इंडिया आपके साथ वैसे ही है. Then you will gather कि यार चलो यूएस तुम भी आ जाओ, आपकी भी कोई बात नहीं सुनना, तो चलो हम साथ बैठ के बात कर रहे हैं. If people see यार 4 लोग बैठे हुए हैं, trust the group, let's join it. 5 लोग, 6 लोग, 7 लोग, 8 लोग, and maybe more, right? But since you established that group, people would always look at you as the natural leader, unless you let someone else take over, which is a completely different debate. Um, but and how do you not do that? We will cover that in the moderator of the passionate part. But it's important for us to understand that because you have formed that very group, you have talked to everyone individually, you know everyone individually. People would look at you as a leader, and more importantly, people would look at you as someone who will guide the, let's say, I would guide the Unmod itself. The second technique before I go into passionate itself is sorry, I think I will go passionate first and then moderator. So people I like to call passionate are the people who genuinely know about the topic too much. So for example, if you, let's say, take a person X, and X just knows too much about the topic, whatever you bring at them. And these are the people who will be present at the Unmod because maybe they have done their thesis on it. Maybe they have done research on it or something of that sort, right? And once they have done that, they have some grounding to get tested. When I say some grounding, what I mean is that they have already done enough topics, or whatever you throw at them, they have some understanding of that very topic. Even any moderate caucus, I would say. And what it does is when people generally know more, it helps them establish their own ground. And when I say establish their own ground, I mean they're able to talk to everyone, not only talk to everyone, but they're able to show their knowledge. And when you show their knowledge, people already establish you to a hierarchy. And when they establish you to a hierarchy, people already know, okay, yeah, this is a person, isko sabse zyada pata hai, to isi se pooch lete hain. So people generally just come to you. And when people come to you, obviously you are the person in power then, right? Um, and this is how you can establish your, let's say, the hierarchy or your supremacy, I would say, um, through your knowledge. And and it's not only important for you to show your knowledge in moderate caucuses, it's as much important as it is in Unmods, because in Unmods as well, people don't want to hear general discussion, people don't want to hear general opinions, people want to hear concrete facts. And if you're the person who provides them with that, people are going to listen to you. It is very difficult, it is very easy for me to say that, let's say, US is doing harm to Iran, but it is very difficult for me to say, let's say, there's a treaty between US and Iran that is called XXX, and we need to talk about it. And then if a lot of people in the community do not know about it, they will say, yeah, sahi hai, chalo, is bande ko pata hai what he's saying. So maybe let's give him a chance and try to let him explain it to us, right? Then the last one is moderator. So this is generally, I would say, there's no specific technique to attach to it. The reason why moderators sometimes work is the person who takes very less time. And I think that's the most important part of the moderator as well. Never be the moderator who takes too much time. Because if you take too much time, then people will just get pissed off and they will like, yeah, leave this person and let's move to someone else. But when I say moderator, you are the person who directs. For example, you say, "Kya chalo India aap bol rahe hain," and once India is done, you can move to the person, you to move to the person. Once you start, and you do that from different techniques. Sometimes you carry a pen, sometimes you carry a copy and write it down on it. Sometimes you just use that pen, sometimes you raise your hands and do that. But through these different techniques, you establish that you are the moderator. And when you are the moderator, don't be someone who just speaks too much, because when you do so, people then generally won't listen to you, because then they will feel frustrated, and you don't want them to feel frustrated, right? I hope these specific techniques help you into understanding what type of fund models exist. And you will always, let's say, obviously all of these techniques will be tried and tested on you. So for example, maybe sometimes you will try a personal technique, it might not work for you, because everyone has a different personality, everyone has different techniques, everyone has different presentations as of it in Unmod, and that's why it's very subjective in its very nature. However, some few things that I would say always keep in mind, that have helped me at least, is carry a gun. So when I say carry a gun, not only for yourself, because I think you should, let's say, generally have a gun, because it keeps you calm as well. But obviously, don't be disrespectful. So when speaking, you can't just keep chewing gum, because then it might come up with something, I would say, disrespectful in nature. But generally, carry a gum, offer to people outside the committee, during an unmod, just offer to them. Secondly, don't always go to the smart people in the room. There are a lot of smart people. They're also very, sometimes they're the people who are trying to win. There's sometimes the people who are more competitive, and you don't want to go to them, because it will provide them the edge. And then you need to go to people who are less smarter. When I say smarter, I don't mean genuinely like smart distinction. I mean people who know about the topic and people who don't know about the topic, because I don't think that much you can if someone is smart or not, and that'd be wrong for me to say. But I mean people who know about the topic and people who don't know about the topic. Thirdly, never put your feet down. So for example, even if you think that we should discuss topic A, don't tell we should discuss topic A majorly. Let's say, obviously it's not in the topic situation majorly, but also let's say if you feel we should go something with in the draft solution, resolution itself, then don't say that I feel it. Say that maybe India, Pakistan, including myself, feel it. Which is obviously those delegates should feel it, or say committee feel as a whole feels it. And in that case, the committee should feel it. And don't obviously make claims that you would not be able to attest otherwise. Four, in larger committees and during moderate caucuses, although in some amendments that it's not allowed, but in amendments where it is, do try to change seats, because when you try to change seats, you can even during the moderate caucus, you can talk to more people, and those people are more likely to refer to you or revert back to you in the unmod. So yeah, I think that's it from my side. And generally, I would say unmods are something that you will learn along your way. It's not something that you will learn in one MUN, not in two MUN, not in three MUN. Some people take years to learn. The skill, I would say, I will say I'm still learning, because it's very difficult to establish, and every unmod is so different than the other. Always remember something I tell myself is unmods are not in sprint. Um, and they're supposed to be taken such a it's a 1 mile race, so you need to be calm, you need to be passionate, you need to know your things, and everything obviously needs to combine together. Thank you so much for joining, and thank you so much for listening. Please don't forget to subscribe our channel and like the video if you like it, and if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comment box. Thank you so much. Take care.